about how we are gonna inspect an element or else inspect an object within the Firefox browser itself. Okay, within the Firefox browser itself, how we are going to identify a particular object is our concept which we discussed in a Friday's class. See, the only thing what we am gonna show you over here is open your Firefox browser. I would like to show you, okay, I would like to show you how we are gonna perform. Okay, so I'm opening a bing.com. How we are gonna identify this object and how we are gonna perform this kind of an activities and how we are going to identify this particular object in a Selenium IDE we are gonna cover in our today's class. So for which I opened bing.com in my Firefox browser and simultaneously have opened my Selenium IDE. Okay, simultaneously I have opened my Selenium IDE. Once it was done, the next step what we need to do over here means right click on a bing.com search field. Okay, so right click on a bing.com search field. See here, as we have installed this Firebug add-on to our Firefox browser, inspect element with a Firebug option got displayed for us. Okay, inspect element with the Firefox option got displayed over here within the Firefox browser. Whenever I clicked on that one, a small window will display within the Firefox browser. Okay, a small window will display within the Firefox browser where in which some information got highlighted. Where in which some information got highlighted. In which ID, it is displaying as an ID, class, type, value, name, and a title properties. So what are all the various properties associated to this particular object got displayed within the Firefox browser? Copy the ID property from there. Okay, copy the ID property from there. Go back to Selenium IDE and specify ID equal to this one. And finally click on a find button. See, we were able to identify this particular text field. Okay, we were able to identify this particular text field. Like this, we are gonna identify the various kinds of properties associated to this particular object. Like this, we are gonna identify the various kinds of properties associated to this particular object. That's completely fine. Okay, so that's completely fine. So once we are done up to here, so this is the only concept which we discussed in a Friday's class. Okay, the next concept of which I am gonna explain for you all is command, target, and a value. We already discussed about these three things. What is a command, what is a target, and what is a value? Command means the action which our Selenium needs to perform on a browser. Okay, so what exactly a command means? Whatever the action my Selenium needs to perform on a browser, which we can call it as a command, whereas a target means where it needs to perform the action. Okay, where it needs to perform the action, which we can call it as a target, whereas a value is an optional field. For few commands, value will be displayed, and for few commands, value won't be displayed. Okay, for few commands the value will be displayed, and for few commands value won't be displayed. Okay, value won't be displayed. That's completely fine. So what is the next concept which we are gonna discuss over here? Various commands in Selenium IDE. Okay, so what are all the various commands we have in Selenium IDE is our next concept which we are gonna discuss. Okay, various commands we have in Selenium IDE. So let me add the list of commands which we have in Selenium IDE. Okay, just give me a second. Let me add the list of commands. So Selenium IDE contains a lots of commands. Okay, there are around 100 plus commands are there for our Selenium IDE. See here, in a Selenium IDE, under the target, whenever we click, or sorry, under the command, see here we have a command. There is a drop down over here. Whenever I clicked on the drop down, lots of commands got displayed over here. Lots of commands got displayed over here. So all these commands we no need to learn in order to work on this Selenium. Okay, in order to work on this Selenium IDE, we no need to learn all these 100 plus commands. Simply we need to learn only 10 or 15 commands, then we can simply work on the Selenium IDE and as well as an RC. So out of all these 100 commands, these are all the most frequently used commands. Okay, so these are all the most frequently used commands. First one is a open. So let's see the significance of each and every command. So open. So what is the significance of this open and why we are going for this open command? In order to open an application in the browser. Okay, in order to open up an application in a browser, we are using this open command in Selenium IDE. Okay, in order to open up an application in a browser, we are using this open command. To open up an application in a browser, we are using this open command. Okay, it means the browser was already open. See here, this is the browser which was already open. Using my Selenium IDE, I would like to open a facebook.com or else a yahoo mail.com. Using my Selenium IDE, whatever the application I would like to open, in those cases I need to use this open command. Okay, the significance of this open is in order to open up an application in a browser. Whereas, what is the significance of a close command means to close the existing browser, which is a Firefox browser itself. The reason is using Selenium IDE, we are working on a Firefox browser only, right? So using Selenium IDE, we are working on a Firefox browser only. So here, we are gonna close the existing Firefox browser. Whatever the Firefox browser is there, if at all I would like to close that particular browser, in those cases I can use this close command. Let me show you a small example for the same. See, I'm just writing it as add a test case. See, close. Okay, here I change in my command as a close, and when I execute my class, see here, the Firefox browser got closed. Whatever the Firefox browser instance was there, that particular instance was closed. So we don't have any Firefox browser open at us. See here, whatever the browser was already opened, it closed that particular browser. We don't have any Firefox browser open. Okay, so let me open my Firefox browser once again. See, as of now, we have only one Firefox browser instance. When I run this close command, the browser instance got closed. So finally, the conclusion point is with the help of this close command, we are gonna close the browser instance. Whatever the browser instance is there, I would like to close that particular browser instance using this close command. Then here I'm just changing my command to open. Okay, I'm just changing my command to an open command. Okay, I'm just changing my command to an open command. So open. So here, what exactly it needs to open? So we are specifying that open. So what it needs to open? Which application it needs to open? We need to specify, right? So generally, go to college. Assume that I have given a statement that go to college. So which college we need to go? At least I need to specify a college name itself. Right here I need to specify the college name where I need to go. The same way here also we need to specify which application you need to open. See here in Selenium IDE we have one concept which is a base URL. So base URL means the application URL itself. what exactly your application URL is there. The application URL itself we are specifying here under the base URL part. Okay, the application URL itself we are specifying under the base URL part. So here I am specifying it as base URL, and in the open command under the target I am just specifying a slash over here. Under the target I am just specifying a slash over here. See, when I run my code or else when I run my program in the browser, it is opening the bing.com. For suppose here, if at all it's a google.com is there, when I run my program, it will open a google.com in that particular browser. Okay, whatever the URL we have specified, it will open that particular URL. See, I'm just specifying SD04 or some other application. So whenever we specify that, the corresponding URL, the corresponding application will be opened in a browser. Okay, for suppose if I change it again to a bing.com when I run my code, see in a browser bing.com is opening up. So it means for the open command, whatever the URL you have specified, it will open that particular URL, or else it will open that particular application. Am I clear for everybody so far? Ashish, Ashwini, am I clear for you all?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. Kavita, Megha, Sahana, is this clear for you? Yamini? Okay, fine. That's completely fine. So here we are just using, we have seen just two commands. One is a open and the another one is a close. The next one is a type. When we are using this a type command means to enter a value into a search field. Okay, or else in order to enter a value into any field. Okay, in order to enter a value into any field, any text field, we are using this command. Okay, we are using this type command. In order to enter a value into any field, we are using this type command. Okay, we are using this type command in order to enter a value into any field. So let me show you an example for the same. Here is a bing.com search field. I need to enter a value to this field. Okay, so I need to enter a value to this field. So here the corresponding command I need to use it as a type, and I need to enter my value. So as I told you that in the target we need to specify where exactly we need to perform this action. So in the target I'm specifying my ID is equal to this one, and the value which I need to enter is Sahana. Okay, I would like to enter this value into my field. I would like to enter Sahana into that particular field. Okay, so when I run my program now, it will open the bing.com. See here, Sahana got entered into that particular field. See, instead of Sahana now, I need to enter Yamini into that field. So when I run my program, as of now, it will enter Yamini into that particular field. Else, finally, I need to execute a Murthy into that field. When I run my program, finally, it will enter Murthy. So whatever the value we have specified, that particular value itself, it will enter into that particular field. So using a type command, we are going to enter a value into a particular field. Click, comma, click and wait commands. The purpose of these two commands are one and the same. Okay, the purpose of a click, comma, click and wait is one and the same. The only difference between these two, okay, the only difference between a click and wait command, the major differences between these two is this will perform click operation on a link or a button. Okay, this command will perform a click operation on a link or a button, whereas the click and wait will also perform the same. Plus, see here we have added a end wait command. Okay, so we have added a end wait command. Whenever we have added a end wait command means internally, okay, internally end wait means wait for page to load. Okay, internally my Selenium will treat it as a wait for page to load. After performing this activity, wait for the web page to load. Okay, wait for the web page to load. See, let me show you an example. For the Bing.com, whenever I clicked on a search button, if you observe over here, the web page is taking some time. It is reloading and it is taking some time to navigate to a next page. Okay, the web page is taking some time and it's loading up and it is taking some time to navigate to a next page. Okay, it is taking some time and it is navigating to a next page. In those cases, I can add a click and wait command. So over here, click and wait. So when can we add a click and wait command? If after performing the clicking action, the web page is reloading. In those cases, we can add a and wait command. In those cases itself, we can add a and wait command. So click and wait. So where I need to perform the click operation, this one. So inspect element. This object is having a name property as a go. Copy that. Specify it as name is equal to go. Let me run this script. So it will open a bing.com, enter a value, it will click on a search button and hence the search results got displayed. See, I performed these actions using my code. So here if you observe, we are studying the purpose of each and every command with an example too. Okay, we are studying the purpose of each and every command with an example too. That's fine. So once we are done up to here, the next command is a select command. To select a value from a drop down. Okay, in order to select a value from a drop down, we are using this select command. Okay, and one more point is whenever we have added end wait to any command means it will wait until the page got loaded. It means after performing the desired or else the specified action, it will wait until the web page got loaded. Usually a simple question will rise in our mind: if my web page will take 60 seconds to load the page, whether my IDE scripts will wait for that much time? So the answer is by default my Selenium IDE won't wait for that much of time. Okay, our Selenium IDE won't wait by default for that much of time. It will wait at max of 30 seconds only. By default, our Selenium IDE will wait for 30 seconds only. Based on our application requirement, okay, based on our application requirement, we can change the values. Okay, based on our application requirement, we can change the values. So how we are going to do that? Let me show you. For which, go to your Selenium IDE where we are having an options under which you are having another options. Click on that. See here, within these options, default timed out value of a recorded command in a milliseconds is 30,000 milliseconds, which is equal to 30 seconds. So whenever the web page is reloading in Selenium IDE, by default it will wait for 30 seconds. Based on our application, we can change the value over here. If it is taking 60 seconds, change it to 60,000 milliseconds. If it is taking 80 seconds, change it to 80,000 milliseconds. If it is 90 seconds, change it to 90,000 milliseconds. Like this, change your value. Okay, like this, change your value. Okay, so that's completely fine. Am I clear for you all so far?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I guess it's clear for everybody, right? That's completely fine. Okay, so that's completely fine. So here we have a scene about the wait command. So at max we can change our time over here so that my script will wait for that much of time. Whatever the time we have changed over here, for that much of time my script will be updated and it will change. That's fine. So here I have written a click and wait. Now we need to see an example for a select a command. Okay, select a command. So here within this page we don't have any drop downs. Okay, within the search page we don't have any drop downs. Okay, so what I am doing means, let me try to open the bing.com, click on the preferences link, copy this URL. Okay, copy this URL. Sorry, due to some ads. Okay, I'm sorry for that. See, I just copied that URL, and here I am opening that particular URL. See, I'm just opening up a bing.com URL, where in which if you observe, it contains a drop down over here and a checkbox also. This page contains a drop down and this page contains a checkbox also. Okay, so this page contains a drop down and as well as a checkbox. So here I am adding a command. By default the drop down value is English. I would like to select DA and escape from the drop down. So what I can do means, the command which we need to use it as a select, here we need to specify the drop down location. So right click on a drop down, inspect element with a firebug, it contains an ID property, copy that and specify here, and I would like to select a DA and escape from that drop down. Okay, I would like to select a DA and escape from that particular drop down. That's completely fine. We have specified a DA and escape from this particular drop down, and I don't want to execute all the commands starting from first. I would like to execute only this command itself. Okay, I would like to execute only one command. This command itself I would like to execute. How can I execute a single command means, right click on the desired command, and we have an option at last which is an execute this command. Execute it. See, in a browser DNSK got updated, and now in my script I am changing it to English again and run only this command. See here, English got updated. For suppose I am just changing this value to some other value in a drop down, and when I run my script, EESTI got updated in this. Okay, EESTI got updated in this. So like this. So if at all I would like to select any other values, so right click, execute this command, the corresponding value will be selected in the drop down. Okay, the corresponding value will be selected in a drop down. That's completely fine. I hope I am clear for everybody so far. The usage of select command, Sahana, Sirisha,
Yes.
Yamini. Okay, fine. So once we are done up to here, Megha, Kavya, could you please reply me in the chat window whether it is clear for you or not? Ashish. Okay, so that's fine. So once this one was done, the next point over here is within the same page we have a checkbox. Okay, so I would like to uncheck this checkbox. See here, by default this checkbox is in a checked mode. I would like to uncheck this checkbox. Okay, I would like to uncheck this checkbox. How can I uncheck my checkbox means, right click, inspect element with a firebug. The checkbox is having an ID property. Copy that ID property once. Go back here, and I am adding a command as uncheck ID equal to this one. That's it. So I have given a command which is uncheck ID equal to this one. The same way execute this command alone. See here the checkbox was went into an unchecked mode. Later I changed my checkbox status to check ID equal to this one and run this same command again. See the checkbox went into a checked mode. So the conclusion is in order to check a checkbox or else in order to uncheck a checkbox, we are using a check and as well as an uncheck commands. Okay, we are using a check and uncheck commands to check a checkbox or else to uncheck a checkbox. Okay, to check a checkbox or else to uncheck a checkbox, we are using a check and a uncheck commands. Okay, we are using a check and uncheck commands to check a checkbox and to uncheck a checkbox. That's completely fine. So the next point over here is a refresh. The name itself will tells you. It will reload the current web page. Okay, it will reload the current web page. Whereas a refresh and wait, it will reload the current web page and it will wait until the page got loaded. As we know that whenever we have added a end wait command means it will strictly wait. It will strictly stop until the page got loaded. That's fine. So here let me add a refresh command and see what it is performing an action in a browser. See, it is reloading the current web page. And even we have another command which is a go back command. Whenever we are executing this go back command means it will take us to our previous page in a browser. See, it is going to take us in a previous page in a browser. The go back command will take a previous page in your browser. Okay, so in Selenium IDE we have a command which will take us to our previous page, but we don't have any command which will navigate further. Okay, we don't have any other command which will navigate to a forward page. We have only one command which will navigate to our previous page in a browser. That's completely fine. So we are done with the go back also, and then echo command. So let me show you here. Echo is my command. That is a Murthy Kandukuri, and you can catch me on WhatsApp. Okay, you can catch me on a WhatsApp if you have any questions. Okay, that's it. So this is my command, and observe the log over here. Observe the log. So right click on a echo and execute this command. If you observe the log at last, whatever the message we have specified, that message got returned to the console or else a Selenium IDE log. So with the help of a echo command, we can print those messages to our Selenium IDE log. Whatever the message we have specified. For suppose this is batch number 80. Okay, this is a batch number 80. And now when I run this command, see at last the message was there. This is a batch number 80 got returned. Whatever the message we have specified to the echo, it will print that message to the console. Then why we are using this echo command means, okay, then why we are using this echo command means, generally, okay, generally to print some confirmation messages to our log, we are using this echo command. Okay, in order to print a confirmation messages to our log, we are using this echo command. Okay, in order to print some kind of a confirmation messages to our log, we are using this echo command. Okay, am I clear for everybody so far? Am I
Um, Murthy, can you explain this thing again?
See, the simple thing. Echo, I would like to print some message. See, for suppose, okay, assume that we're logged into an app. Okay, logged into an application. At last, I would like to print a confirmation message, print a message that successfully logged into application. In those cases, I will use this echo command and we can specify that message to the target. So the simple thing is, for an echo command, whatever the message we have specified, that particular message will be returned. So in
Okay.
the current example, I am specifying it as Ashish. Okay. In the current example, this is as an Ashish. See, before executing the command, if you observe, there is a no information like Ashish to the console or Selenium IDE
No.
log. So when I execute this command, and if you have a look into your Selenium IDE log, this is Ashish got returned. So whatever
Okay.
the info I have added over here, that info will be returned to that particular log. That's it. Okay. So
Okay.
generally, in order to print some kind of a confirmation messages, we are using this command. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So cool. So I hope I am clear for everybody with this command, right? Done.
Yes.
Fine. So the next point over here is get eval and a store eval. These commands we will be seeing in further with an examples with the more details. Now we are not gonna cover those commands. And then store, to store a value into a variable. Generally, why we are going for this store command means, in order to store a value into a variable, we are going for this store command. Okay, in order to store a value into a variable, we are going for this store command. So what does it means? For suppose, assume that in my program, I am using Murthy more frequently. So what I can do means, instead of writing Murthy multiple times, I can store his name or a Murthy into a variable, and whenever we want, simply call that variable. Whenever we want to simply call that particular variable. What is the best example for this one? Assume that we are working on a online shopping. Okay, assume that we are testing an online shopping application which is an Amazon.com. Assume that you are testing Amazon.com application. You are frequently purchasing a product. So whenever you are going for a payment, we are using a credit card as our payment. Credit card as our payment method. We are choosing a credit card as our payment method. So what it will happen means, usually my Amazon.com will suggest me to save my credit card information to my account. Okay, credit card information to my account. It will suggest me to save my information to an account. The reason is, per day I am purchasing 10 products using this site. So every time I need to enter my 16 digits credit card number, the whole name present on a credit card, the whole name present on a credit card, and every information I need to enter. So instead of doing that, if we save our information, simply in a payment gateway, we can choose the saved cards and simply enter the password, and we are placing our order, right? With a simple step of entering a password itself, we are placing an order. We are not entering all the card information. It means the entire card information was initially stored. Okay, the entire card information was initially stored, and that info I am just using that. Okay, that info I am just using that. That's completely fine. So this thing we can call it as a variable. These things we can store it in a variable. This is an example. So using a store command, I would like to store the whole information into a variable. Okay, I would like to store the whole information into a variable itself. Okay, I would like to store the whole information into a variable itself. That's completely fine. Okay, that's completely fine. I hope I am clear for everybody so far. Okay, so when we are using this store command means I would like to store the information which is a more frequently using. So how can I use this store command? Command itself is a store. The value I would like to store it is a murti, and I would like to store a murti in a variable. Okay, I would like to store a murti in a variable. In future, whenever I want a murti means I can call a automatically murti will be called. Okay, in future whenever I want, okay, in future whenever I want a murti means I can simply call a variable, automatically murti will be called. Okay, automatically murti will be called. So this is the way how can we store this information. Okay, this is the way how can we store this information. Okay, am I clear for you all so far? The store command.
Yes.
So that's completely fine. So the next concept of what we are going to discuss over here is the most important one, which is assert and verify. So the assert and verify, these two are similar to that of verification points. Okay, these are similar to that of verification points. The purpose of these two commands is to add verification points to our test scripts. Okay, in order to add a verification points to our test script, we are going for either assert or a verify. Okay, we are going for either assert or a verify in order to add verification points to our test script. Okay, in order to add a verification points to our test script, we are going for either assert or verify. Okay, we are going for either assert or a verify. So what is this verification points? As we know that to verify whether something got displayed in a web page or not. Okay, in order to verify whether something got displayed or not, we are going for these verification points. We are going for these verification points. Okay, in order to verify whether the something got displayed in a web page or not, we are going for these verification points. Okay, we are going for these verification points. That's completely fine. Then what is an example for this one? Before going to that, an example for this one. uh Give me a second, I'm just opening up an application. See, I'm just logging into this Salesforce application. Okay, I'm just logging into this Salesforce application. Oh, okay, so developers.salesforce.com. I'm just trying to log in into an application. Okay, this is not the one. Or else, give me a second. Just opening up. I'm just opening up another application to show you what exactly. So once after we logged into this application, okay, so I would like to go to a create user page or else a form basically. Okay, I would like to go for an order page. Okay, so let me navigate to that page, customer user interface, and I would like to create a new user. See, within this page, if you clearly observe, there are a few fields are there which were marked as a asterisk. So it means these fields are a mandatory fields. See, out of there are 5 text fields in the web page. The first 4 are a mandatory. The fifth is a non-mandatory field. So what is the meaning of a mandatory and a non-mandatory? Without entering a value to a mandatory field, whenever I clicked on a next button, it will throw an error message. My application itself won't allow me to move to my further page. Whereas for a non-mandatory field, we no need to enter any value. We can navigate to a further page also. There is no restriction. Even my application won't stop. Okay. To navigate to a further page, that's completely up to your wish. You may enter a value or you may not enter a value. That's completely up to your wish. So go back over here. Assert is an mandatory verification point. Okay, assert is a mandatory verification point, whereas a verify is a non-mandatory verification point. Okay, assert is a mandatory verification point and a verify is a non-mandatory verification point. So what exactly the meaning is? If the verification point is there, then it will pass that command and it will move to the next command. If it was not there, then it will fail the command and it will stop the script execution at that command itself. Okay, it will stop the script execution at that command itself. Whereas if you go for a verify, if the verification point is there, it will pass that command, it will move to a next command. If it was not there, then it will fail the command and it will move to the next command. Okay, and it will move to the next command. Whereas if you go for an assert, it will stop the script execution there itself. Whereas a verify, it will move the script execution to the next command. Okay, that's the difference between assert and a verify. If the verification point is not there, it will stop the script execution. If you go for a assert, okay, and if you go for a verify, if you go for a verify, it will continue the script execution. Usually a simple question will rise in our mind. The purpose is one and the same, and when can we use an assert and when can we use a verify then? Right? The purpose of these two is one and the same. So when can we use a assert and when can we use a verify for these two commands? Okay, when can we use a assert and when can we use a verify for these two commands? Generally, if at all, okay, if at all, we are going to verify, okay, if at all, we are going to verify a text, then simply go for verify. Okay, if at all, we need to check existence of an object, then go for assert. Okay, then go for assert. Okay, generally if at all I need to verify some text or something like that, okay, some text or something like that, I go for a verify only. Why? We are gonna discuss in a tomorrow's class with an example. Okay, the assert and a verify concepts we are gonna cover more details with an examples in a tomorrow's class. And the next one is wait for. The name itself is telling it will stop our Selenium IDE script execution for something to display in a web page. it will stop our Selenium IDE script execution for something to display in a web page. Okay, the wait for is a command which we are using in a WebDriver in order to stop. Okay, wait for is a command using which it is specifying to our Selenium IDE that stop your script execution until something got displayed, and it will wait for the time which we defined in the options. Okay, it will wait for the time which we have defined in an options. It will wait for that time maximum, and if it was not displayed, then it will fail. Okay, then it was failed. For suppose an example is, I asked on my Selenium IDE, okay, I asked on my Selenium IDE to wait for Murthy text display in a web page, and in the options I have specified as a 30 seconds time. So my Selenium IDE will wait for 30 seconds at max whether the Murthy got displayed or not. If Murthy got displayed, then it will continue the execution. Within 30 seconds, if Murthy was not displayed, means it will fail the scripts. Okay, it will fail the scripts. Okay, it will fail the script. That's completely fine. Okay, it will fail that particular script. That's completely fine. And then the next command here is a pass to stop the script execution itself. The same command, the stop command itself, or the pass command also we are using to stop the script execution itself. Okay, to stop the script execution itself we are using this pass command. Then what is the difference between a pass and a wait for commands? Okay, what is the difference between a pass and a wait for commands? Example over here is, what is the difference between these two commands? An example over here is, okay, an example over here is, assume that for wait we define the time in a options as a 30 seconds. For pass we need to define time within the command itself. Okay, within the command itself. So for the both I specified as a 30 seconds. Whenever you go for a wait for, if the object got displayed means, then it will continue the execution. Okay, for suppose if the desired text got displayed within a 10 seconds, my wait for don't wait for remaining 20 seconds, it will simply continue the execution with the further commands. Whereas if you go for a pass, if we specify a certain time means, it will strictly stop the script execution for that time interval. Okay, it will strictly stop the script execution for that time interval. Am I clear for you all? Am I clear for you all? Do you have any questions? Okay then, that's fine. So that's fine. So I guess it's clear for everybody. Okay, so that's fine. So the conclusion point and the last point, what I am gonna do now means, okay, the final point what I am gonna do now means, that's completely fine. We have seen the various kinds of commands and all those stuff. Okay, finally, okay, finally I would like to see few things with an example. The few things are assert and verify. I would like to see these two commands with an examples. Okay, the assert and verify, these two commands I would like to verify with an examples. So the example stuff we are gonna cover in our tomorrow's class. Okay, the example stuff, the assert and verify command